Thank you very much, everybody. Please remain standing for a blessing by my chaplain, Reverend Sebastian Hamilton, please.
Let us pray. Lord, the God of righteousness and truth, grant to our King and his government, to Sandwich Town Council, to all organisations that we represent and all in positions of responsibility, the guidance of your Spirit. May they never lead the nation wrongly through love of power, desire to please, or unworthy ideals, but laying aside all private interests and prejudices, keep in mind their responsibility to seek to improve the condition of all mankind. So may your kingdom come and your name be hallowed. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much for that, Father Sebastian. Please take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, councillors, members of the public. I'd like to open this Sandwich Town Council quarterly meeting of the council on Monday the 24th of February 2025. Item number 1 is the Chair's opening remarks. I've got just a few here. Firstly, I'd like to say a big thank you to the Town Clerk and the Guildhall staff for organising and managing the very successful Curfew Ringers Supper that we had just last week, which attracted a large number of curfew ringers and saw the changeover from the outgoing curfew captain to the new curfew captain. It's always nice to see the retirees that come back to the meal and enjoy their company, some of them having done over 40 years, which is very good. I also attended, as part of the Confederation of the Cinque Ports, civic service in Canterbury Cathedral, so I was able to liaise and network with my counterparts from the Confederation of the Cinque Ports there. And on a lighter note, on Saturday evening, I was invited along to the Policeman's Charity Pantomime, which is held in St Lawrence's College over in Broadstairs, which raises large sums of money for different cancer charities over there. So thank you very much on that one. And lastly, I just wanted to raise the matter of the Fellowship Walk. I don't believe this comes up anywhere else in the agenda. Obviously, with Fellowship Walk, as we all know, there's works that are being undertaken by the owner there. Those works have been monitored and reported to DDC by both the town clerk and by myself, and I believe by our DDC councillor as well. And the town clerk has been working with the enforcement officer as to what actions we can take there. Did you just want to briefly say about the new chapter, not Callum, it's the new one, isn't it?
Basically, the enforcement team at Dover District Council said they are monitoring the situation. They have been in contact with the landowner and they have made site visits. So they will be obviously going through their processes and there will be further updates. I am in contact with them almost 3 times a week at the moment. But I am reporting back as well any new reports that come through from residents.
Thank you. Councillor Breen, please stand.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you, Town Clerk, for that update. Like I think a lot of the councillors, we're concerned about what's happening there, and I would like to propose that we ask our lawyers to look into taking out an injunction, because I feel there is a case of adverse possession there, where the person is occupying land, and after a period of time, if we do nothing about it, they can claim that they own the land. So I think we should agree to getting proper legal advice and taking out an injunction.
Thank you very much for that. I have just this afternoon raised that. I think we need to place that first of all with Dover District Council, because I believe that they're the owners of that piece of land. And to tell you the truth, I've sent a letter to both the leader, the head of planning, and the head of development at Dover District Council, explaining exactly what you said, to say that that was one of the issues. So as well as all the other issues about access and the fencing and all the utilities that look like they're being put in on the site there, I also said about the land that they've obtained and taken possession of. But I need to raise that with Dover District Council first. When they come back, then we could perhaps take your proposal forward, Councillor Breen, if that's okay.
Yeah, yes, please do. But I think it is a legal, position of adverse possession, and the injunction is the tool to stop that. And I think that's what you should be raising specifically with Dover.
With Dover, indeed. Thank you very much for that. That's very kind of you. So that was all the items from the chair. Thank you very much. Item number 2 on the agenda is apologies for absence received. Town Clerk, could you list any absences?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have Councillor D. Carter is absent due to illness, and Councillor Gray is absent due to illness as well.
Thank you very much for that, Town Clerk. Item number 3, declarations of interest, and this is to receive any declarations of disclosable and pecuniary interests from members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda this evening. Do we have any declarations from the councillors at all? So that's an return on that one. Thank you very much. Item number 4 is minutes of the full council meeting and committees, and this is to approve the minutes of the full council meeting of Sandwich Town Council held on the 27th of January 2025, and to consider any matters arising from those minutes which is not covered elsewhere on the agenda this evening, and that is attachment number 1. Indeed, Town Clerk.
Thank you. Since I issued the draft minutes, I've had a conversation with Councillor Gray, and there is a proposed amendment to the draft minutes. So this is STC .01.25.19, the updates from councillors. The paragraph bullet point where it talks about Councillor Ripley expressing concern about the Christmas period Facebook post. I've amended this to say the town clerk was asked to request evidence of the claims of corruption at STC in the form of a report from the town councillor. And then if you go over the page, the actual resolution, which is at the bottom. The resolution is that the town clerk to seek evidence of the allegations and request a report back to the council at the February meeting.
Thank you very much, Town Clerk. Did we have any other matters to raise on these minutes? If not, I'd like a proposer and a seconder. Are you proposing,
No,
Councillor
I'm not.
Anderson?
I'm just raising a question because the wording that the town clerk has just given us for the resolution seems the altered wording seems to be exactly the same as the original wording. So I just wondered how it had changed, because the original wording is that the town clerk seek evidence of the allegations and report back to the council at the February meeting. Is that so?
So I've altered this to say at STC in the form of a report from the town councillor.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
Councillor Gray.
yes, that's not what I heard.
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
Is that okay, Councillor Anderson?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So could I have a proposer and a seconder? Proposer is Councillor Morehouse and the seconder is Councillor Pennington. And all those in favour of these minutes, please show. abstention there. That is passed, thank you very much. The second item is to receive the minutes of the Planning Committee held on the 13th of January 2025, and this is attachment 2. You proposing, Councillor Morehouse? Thank you. And Councillor Chuka is seconding. Oh, indeed, Councillor Fortescue.
Could I ask the town clerk to confirm the date and time of the next meeting of the planning committee?
So it will very much depend on the, oh, sorry, it's not on the bottom, you're right, correct. Gosh, my memory doesn't serve me correctly. I think it might be the 19th of March. I don't know why that comes into my mind. Councillor Chick, I'm sure has.
10th.
The 10th.
Yeah.
Thank you. The 10th. Councillor Fortescue.
Thank you very much for that. So we had a proposer and a seconder for the planning minutes. For all those who agree with them, please show your cards.
2 abstentions.
2 abstentions there. That item is passed. Thank you very much, councillors. And then the third one is to receive the minutes of the Finance and General Purposes Committee, which was held on the 22nd of January 2025, and this is attachment number 3. Did we have any queries or questions on these minutes? If not, I'd ask for a proposer and a seconder. So Councillor Chuka to propose and Councillor Breen is seconding. And all those in favour, please show. Looks like that's unanimous. Thank you very much. That item has been passed. Thank you very much, councillors. Item number 5 are the payment schedules. 5A, to receive and approve the scheduled payment for mid-February totalling £45,180.71, and this is attachment 4A. Do I have any queries on that matter? Councillor Black first and then Councillor.
Yes, I really want to correct something, an impression that was given at the F&GP for 1497. This is the paying a contractor to set up and strip down the gazebos. There was an impression given to me, possibly unintentionally, that I was being very negative about this. I'm not. I never said anything negative about it, but there's a lot of defensiveness at that meeting. My concern is solely that we must be able to quote the net income, not just the gross income. Obviously we have expenses. This seems to be perfectly reasonable to do it, but there was a lot of defensiveness about it, and I think that was wrong, and that was a misinterpretation. My issue is we need to be able to look at net income, not gross income. So I would like any wrong impressions from that meeting to be corrected, please.
Could I ask Councillor Black, were those wrong impressions
In the discussion,
indelible or were they recorded?
they were in the meeting, and I'm trying to correct the impression from the meeting.
I see. I'm just making sure if we need to amend any minutes or anything like that. Or
No, they didn't appear in the minutes.
just verbal.
Yes.
Okay, then. Thank you very much for that, Councillor Black. So, Councillor Marie, did you?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to clarify one of these on this page, please. 1487, £341.66 paid for 6 walkie-talkies for the Guildhall. Can I just confirm that was done under the delegate powers of the town clerks? Also, just to clarify, because the Guildhall spent some money last year regarding mobile phones for members of staff. I just wanted to double check.
Yes, so those mobile phones we purchased were the small little Nokias, and we purchased 3. So there's one for the office, one for the museum, and one for the caretaker. But these are for security purposes. These are for people like sometimes the mobile phone signal doesn't work as well. So we've got these purely for health and safety reasons.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And the walkie-talkies was, I insisted on those last year as we had members of staff who were lone working in the evening.
Yeah.
And
I just wanted to check whether it was under delegate
Sorry,
powers
Mr.
of the
Mayor,
town
you
clerk.
meant mobile phones. then.
Mobile phones,
Yeah.
sorry,
I
the
just
mobile
wanted to double
phones.
check that it was
yes.
under the delegation of the town
Yes.
clerk.
Indeed it was.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. Do I have a proposer and a seconder for these, item 4A? Thank you. Councillor Morehouse and Councillor Ripley. And all those in favour, please show. And that's That's unanimous, thank you very much. That item's been passed. Item 5B is to receive and approve the scheduled payment for the end of February 2025, totalling £12,902.95, and this is attachment 4B. Do I have any quote? Oh, Town Clerk first.
Thank you. So I think I just want to clarify around, there is a payment on here that is for £1,250 plus VAT for a publication that hasn't been agreed yet. If the decision is not in favour of the publication this evening, that will be removed before the payment schedule is actually actioned by the two councillors. So just to be clear, it's in there, the RFO is on holiday this week, but it will be removed if the decision is not to go with publication. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for making that clarification, Town Clerk. So, Councillor Black, please.
That was exactly the question I've got. Thank you for clarifying it, because we haven't agreed to this yet.
No,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you very much. So do I have a proposer and a seconder for the to receive the schedule of payments at the end of February, please? So Councillor Morehouse and Councillor Wiles, seconding. All those in favour, please show. And you've got one abstention from Councillor Pennington there.
Yeah.
That item has been passed there. Thank you very much. Item 5C. Council to confirm nomination of two signatories to authorise the end of February 2025 payment schedules on Bankline. I'm quite happy to propose myself, and I've also been asked to propose Councillor Ripley. So all those in favour of myself and Councillor Ripley to be the nominated for Bankline?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's everybody. Thank you. And lastly, 5D, Council to confirm nomination of two signatories to authorise the mid-March 2025 payment schedules on Bankline. Once again, I'm quite happy to put myself forward. Councillor Ripley, would I tire you out if I asked you to do a second?
I'd be exhausted, but I'll do it.
Indeed, that's well volunteered, that's what I like to hear. So, all those in favour of Councillor Ripley and myself authorising the bank payments for March, please show. And that's unanimous as well. Thank you very much, councillors. And now I can ask you to retire and remove your robes, and please return to the council chamber as soon as you possibly can. Thank you very much. Because I'm not allowed to leave until Mace leaves. So I didn't know if she was coming back or not. So. Sorry, I didn't know if you were coming back or not. So.
Are you talking about the telephone box?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
You don't.
Yeah. The person in question has been asked by Jack from the waiting room to pay the money for the replacement glass, and they will be doing so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
To who?
It's Jack. You're going to give money to Jack, and then they obviously give it to the council or whoever. But yeah, it was done on Saturday evening.
Was it drunk?
Yes, it's from the New Inn. It's quite a early night in the New Inn, apparently on Saturday night.
He must have injured himself too, I think.
He put his fist straight through it. Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Good.
So,
blood.
no, so yeah, so but we know who it is, and that it's being dealt with.
It's meant to be tough and glass, so
Yeah,
that's
but obviously not.
force.
Yeah, but I know who it is. I'm not going to divulge names, but I know who it is.
Is he remorseful?
Yes, he is. It was a drunken antic, an angry drunken antic, because apparently there was a kick off in the doing, he was like taking out the telephone box.
Well, I can tell you, Jack, how much.
Yeah, if you tell Jack how much he's passing into place in their place. Yes, exactly that, yes.
What was it?
Into the police.
Yeah, would you do that?
If there's anything that's threatening, it's like a bit like carrying a machete.
Oh yes, this was.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so. I would have one question because it should be changed ourselves. That's the only question. That's the question. I think it's good. I have, yes. So, everyone's got some.
It's the thing is then the problem. Oh yes.
Can we get one on that with a note called,
Councillors and members of the public, I'd like to resume this quarterly meeting of the council. Thank you very much. And we're completed up to agenda item number 5. Item number 6 is public participation, and a 20-minute session is set aside for members of the public to make representations at the meeting in respect of the business of the agenda and other matters if time permits. Individual representations should not exceed 5 minutes. Written notice of the desire to exercise the right to speak, together with the topic to be addressed, must be given to the town clerk prior to noon on the day of the meeting. Town clerk, do we have any public participants?
Yes, so Abiona Clements has requested, but I don't think she's in the room. Then we do have Mr. David Whitaker as well, has asked to speak.
Oh, super. Oh, well, Mr. Whitaker's arrived. So, Mr. Whitaker, could I ask you to come to a position where you can address the council? Are you quite happy to be on camera?
No, I don't particularly want to be, but if I have to be, I don't mind.
We can.
Yes, I mean, yeah.
That thing turns around, doesn't it? So we'd have to block it, would we?
Yeah, it's blocked just past there.
Nothing personal.
No, indeed, no. You've got every right to your own privacy. So. Is that okay? I'll see. Did you have a time? I didn't bring my phone with
I
me.
did, yes.
If you could just...
So I get cut short if I don't.
I said no. I will give you instructions as to
Okay.
coming close to the time. That's okay. minutes, yeah. Okay, Mr Whittaker, would you address the council on the topic?
Forgive me if I'm a little nervous and a little faltering. I feel like a minnow amongst sharks. And I haven't got my glasses and the light's very bad and my notes are scribbled. But this is a matter which is important to me and I know it's important to you. I'm here to read you a statement about 57 New Street, an item which I know is on your agenda for this evening, and which my family and I have owned since 1985. A considerable amount of attention recently has been directed towards the condition of this property. This follows a decision by officials at Dover District Council not to initiate any further action regarding the property. I understand that you seek to challenge that decision, and I'm here to offer a contrary and more objective perspective to those opinions which seem to prevail on the local sandwich websites, of which some of you town councillors are moderators. They seem to emanate from a website which is operated by Councillor Daniel Friend. There has been interest in the local press on the condition of the property, which I fully understand, and these may otherwise influence your considerations. There's a long history of concern and contact with Dover District Council about the property, and whilst it may be historically relevant to the current situation, I propose to concentrate only on the more recent situation. I have only 5 minutes. I hope to illuminate a few misunderstandings to enable you to consider the situation in a more balanced way. Following the end of COVID, I recommenced work on the restoration of this house, which has been in my family, as I say, since 1985, and in which I brought up my 4 daughters. So I began work on that in 2021. This is a long project, as you can imagine. It has long-standing legacy issues dating back to the 1940s and beyond. The survey carried out in conjunction with DDC in about 2019 concluded that the expenses necessary to restore the property was £1.25 million. That was in 2019. I proceeded with works at that time to fix the roof as a priority. But these works were interrupted by Dover District Council soon after I initiated them to advise me that listed building consent was necessary in order for me to continue with this project, and I had to cease work. This decision by DDC to stop the restoration was followed by another inspection by them. The result of all this was to require me to submit a planning application for listed building consent. This was duly and assiduously carried out. That is the detail of the application that was made. You will note that this application was submitted on the 24th of February 2023, 2 years ago on this very date. You, Sandwich Town Council, commented on it on the 12th of August 2023, saying that Sandwich Town Council strongly supports this planning application. That's a copy of your... There was yet again a further inspection by Dover District Council enforcement officers in May 2024 to carry out a survey of the property for their own purposes. I'm still waiting the results of both that inspection and indeed an overall decision on that planning application submitted 2 years ago. And there the situation remains to this day. Unless I'm living in an alternative universe, I believe I've done all that is required of me to comply with Dover District Council requirements regarding the property. The planning application was required of me to continue with those works which I had already begun, but was then stopped by their enforcement. This proposal has been with Dover District Council for 2 years and still remains to be determined. In this intervening time, a part of the main house, the roof of part of the main house has collapsed, which I was in the very act of restoring before works were ceased. You, Sandwich Town councillors, were aware of this application. You gave it your approval. What is the reason for the failure to determine that application? In these circumstances, do you yourselves not have a duty to impartially and diligently investigate this matter? What are the responsibilities for the councillors sitting here today who are moderators on the various local sandwich websites where the critics have been allowed to freely voice their vitriol and stir up division and hatred? This matter has gone on a long time. I invite you to investigate where the obstruction lies. I suggest that rather like Singapore in 1942, your guns are facing the wrong way, and you should address your concerns on this matter to where the logjam actually lies, which is with the planners at Dover District Council, who have so far taken 2 years in failing to determine this application, which is ordinarily dealt with within 2 months. You stand as representatives of local democracy, but you will be seen to pay little respect to it if you now try to overturn a democratically reached decision on this matter by your colleagues at Dover District Council. You will not have exercised your civic duties and obligations, in my opinion, to investigate this matter impartially if you fail to take into account this information which I'm now offering. This matter is so simple, it has been made so complex. You, Sandwich Town Council, have already given your approval to the listed building consent. I ask you to use your influence now to prompt DDC to grant the outstanding listed building consent and end this imbroglio with all the division and nastiness which has emanated from it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I ask Mr Whittaker, would you be prepared to take any questions at all from councillors?
Yes, so long as they're of a personal nature.
Obviously you can say no comment if it's something you don't want to answer. And the first one I'd like to say would be coming from myself. So you've asked for Sandwich Town Council to follow up this planning application. Could I just ask, my solitary question was, what have you done to chase up the planning application yourself, and what luck have you had with that?
I have been in contact with Alison Cummings. I've been in touch with a Gary Booth, who I understand is a new enforcement officer following his last visit, and nothing has. I was promised that I would receive a reply and haven't had that.
You haven't had anything at all, so you've not had any communication back?
Correct, no communication at all.
Indeed, thank you very much for answering that honestly. So, did anybody else have questions? I've got Councillor Morehouse first, and then Councillor Mallet, and then Councillor Clinton. Can we not have any personal comment, factual only, please? Thank you. Councillor Morehouse, please.
Good evening, Mr Whittaker.
Good evening.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
And I really do admire your bravery to come here and speak on behalf of this property tonight with all the vitriol, as you mentioned, that's been going around for so many years. I think you're a very brave man, and I admire you for that. I'm very happy to take up your case personally. I'm an independent district councillor. I have no political persuasion whatsoever. and I'm very happy to take up your case for you. And I will do so tomorrow if you wish me to do.
Thank you, I appreciate that, and I would like you to do that.
That's super. Thank you very much for that. And then I had Councillor Mallon.
Well,
Please,
thank you, Mr. Richard, for coming and speaking to us. I think it's, I can reiterate what Councillor Moorhouse has said, very brave. My question is, given the go-ahead, so Dover District Council have an about face and say, go for it. Do you have the funds? Do you have the willingness to fix it, make it so, as they say in Star Trek?
Well, you'll appreciate I don't immediately have £1.25 million in my back pocket, but I was prepared 2 years ago. I had the funds in place to restore the roof. You'll understand that the inside of the house is a complete mess. It's a situation of pickup sticks. You can't go in the front door without encountering parts of the roof which have fallen down through the floors into the bottom of the house. And so the priority is to remove the fallen debris, which is what this application aims to do. They chose the words for me, which is to, whatever they say is on the bit I've just given you, to remove the fabric of the building. The fabric, as has been pointed out to me by Alison Cummings at the time, is all that which is not the brickwork. So we're talking about the wall partitions, the flooring joists, and now, as you've seen, part of the roof. It's very sad for me because before I was stopped working on the property, I had erected internally scaffolding towers from the cellar right up to the roof, which supported the central beam. It's a double pitched roof, so this supported the central beam, which has historically been rotten on the verge of collapse for many years, apart from works that I'd done to prevent it. And I had supported one end, but was stopped at that time from continuing with the scaffolding to support the other end, which is the end which surprisingly has now collapsed. So the answer to your question with regard to the money is yes, I do have funds. I have funds to do the roof, and then there needs to be some planning consideration at some time in order to enable the building to fund itself. If you look at the building historically, it occupied the site of what is now the Woolworths house on the left as you look at it. You know the one that I mean, it's got the sign about the Woolworths. And the new building on the right, which is left as a B&B, and was previously the office of the architect, Bartlett, Leonard Bartlett.
Oh, sorry.
Leonard Bartlett. Those were originally part of the house. It is an historic failing that the owner of the house doesn't have the money to do the repairs. So the Woolworths house was sold off in the 1960s, and the land, which was the tennis court of my house, was sold off in the 1970s. None of that money was put into the restoration of the house, I have to say. I have that challenge, and I have that to deal with. Have I answered your question?
Oh yes, and good luck.
Thank you.
Wish you well on this.
But you understand
Yes.
that with regard to the money situation, at some point, I don't know what the situation is when I've taken everything out of the house. But I will probably be asking for planning permission for 4 flats. That was what the house was at the time that I bought it. 4 flats. Three elderly ladies living in the flat. Nothing of which had done, as I said, since the 1940s. I lived in the house for 20 happy years with my 4 daughters until personal events conspired against me, and a divorce ensued. The house is in trust for my children, and I think we go into personal matters,
Thank you
which
very much for that.
I will stop myself from going
Thank
into.
you very much, Mr. Would you just take the final 2 questions?
Of
This
course.
is the last 2. Councillor Pennington and then Councillor Wiles, please.
Yeah.
Just keep them short because Mr.
Thank you,
Whittaker
yes,
has given us a lot of his time this evening.
You'll understand that the situation is of some concern to us as councillors. There's one technical issue which puzzles me. I should have expected at the time when you were discussing the DDC 2 years ago, and they insisted on you putting in a planning application, that they would have accepted that works to make the building weatherproof could be undertaken immediately. Did they actually tell you to stop work on the roof?
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
It's okay, that's fine, thank you very much. And then Councillor Miles, if you could pose your question, please.
Yes, I was chatting to David just before the meeting. It seems we're at the same school together.
Indeed.
But I
Don't
thought
let that influence you.
I thought I recognised you, but I mean, it's good to see you here.
You were the boy in detention at the time.
I think part of the problem is that the people of Sandwich have only seen the building and the state of decay of the building, and they haven't heard the other side of the story. So obviously there's great concern within the town, because this building is one of the finest in the town, and it should be restored to its former glory, and it's literally falling down at the moment. So that's a great concern. I was just looking at the planning portal. It seems the application in February 23 was purely for the removal of debris within the building, and
Yes,
not
but,
for restoring the roof. Is that correct?
Yes. This document, which you supposedly have read because you have given your consent to it, will explain exactly the works that were carried out with the aim of restoring the roof. At the moment, you can't access anywhere beyond the front door. The floors have fallen through one to the other. So, in order to get to the roof, all that debris needs to be taken up. That is what is referred to by Alison Cummings, the conservation officer, as fabric.
So you need...
I call it debris, she calls it fabric.
Okay, so she's saying you need a planning permission to remove debris.
And this is what that planning permission was.
And has there been an explanation as to why that application has not been decided?
No.
Okay.
To this day. I looked at the website this morning, the one that I've given you there,
Indeed.
it remains undecided. There is no earthly explanation.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Whittaker. It's very kind of you to actually come here this evening and explain the situation to us. And I hope that Councillor Morehouse, do you have contact details from Mr. Whittaker, so you can, or have you got his contact details?
I left them with the clerk on the letter that I wrote.
Indeed. Oh, thank you. We will pass on your contact details to Councillor Morehouse, who's our DDC councillor, and he can liaise with you thereafter, if that's okay.
Thank you
very much.
I would like to point out I'm not a moderator on any of these social media sites.
Thank you for that.
Proudly.
But you will be aware, if I may just address that point, that I believe the moderators have a duty and an obligation. When you look at the site, it says we invite decent and courteous discussion, and we do not accept hate speech. I have to say that when people delve into my family background, when people say the house should be pulled down, when people say that there should be a match put to it, when people go into my former...
That's okay, Mr. Whittaker, please.
When people go into my former wife's situation, I believe that's hate speech.
It's crossing a line.
Indeed, indeed. Well, thank you very much for coming here this evening.
Okay.
You're at liberty to leave if you wish to.
You're going to talk about me now,
Or
aren't you?
if you want some bedtime material, we've got about another 15 items to go through this evening. So
will the house be discussed anymore?
I don't believe it is on. Is it on the
fifth one from now, I think.
Is it? Oh,
From now.
what item is that? Oh, that's it's item number 12. It's not in relation to yourself, it's in relation to Dover District Council. So you're at liberty to stay and listen to that as a member of the public, or if you wish to, you can leave. And this is all being recorded, so you can pick it up whenever you want. So
Okay.
I'll leave that for your choice, but if you return to your seat, that would be most pleasant.
With your consent, I'll leave the room.
Indeed, thank you very much. Thank you for coming this evening.
Yep.
Did we have any more public participants? No.
No.
And Abby Clements hasn't turned up. No, okay, thank you very much for that.
That's the reason she's not here.
Oh, right. Thank you for that update, Councillor Chandler. So, item number 7 is a verbal report from the Dover District Council on matters relating to Sandwich. Oh, yeah, good point. Oh, could you hold fire a minute? Sorry, Councillor Morehouse, we've got to reinstate the technology. Yeah, Councillor Morehouse, please stand and address the council. Matters to do with Dover District Council, Sandwich based only, please.
Right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, this is solely Sandwich based, the first item, but it does affect the council and its makeup. So there have been, as you're probably aware, that there's been changes to the composition of Dover District Council, with the defection of Councillor Charles Woodgate to the Conservatives and Councillor Maria Manjan as a non-aligned independent. And that results in the council being in no overall control, with both the main political parties having 15 councillors each. And this has resulted in myself and Councillor Manjan being appointed members of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. I've also been assigned places on the General Purposes Committee, Electoral Matters Committee, Dover Joint Transportation Advisory Board, and Investigating and Disciplinary Committee.
Lucky you. Indeed.
I might find some time to sleep at some point. Anyway, moving on. On Tuesday the 4th of February, I attended a member briefing for the residential development of Discovery Park, in which I raised 3 issues of concern. Firstly, I welcome the affirmation that the housing would include solar panels from the applicant team, and asked if rainwater harvesting would be included element. Secondly, I asked if improvements to the Ramsgate Road north of the roundabout leading Monk's Way would be undertaken, and I'm pleased to advise that both questions received positive replies. Regrettably, there wasn't an agreeable answer to the third question I raised regarding pedestrian access between the new residential development and Sandwich Town Centre, as I was advised that the existing shared pedestrian walkway and cycle lane would remain in situ, which I feel is a disappointment, given the potential number of 388 houses, 2 persons and pedestrian traffic into Sandwich on a shared cycle lane. You've only got to walk from Sandown Castle to Kingsdown to realise what a nightmare these things are. Sure. On Monday the 3rd of March, I've been invited to attend an in-person discussion with members of the Events Safety Advisory Group, along with the leader, Councillor Kevin Mills, and our own Councillor Simon Mallet, with reference to the event parking bay suspension compensation scheme, and I thank Councillor Mallet's intervention and input into this. We will try our best to get a positive resolution for the events, because the charges that they are proposing will mean that there will be no events next year, and that will be they will actually, Dover District Council will lose more revenue than it's going to gain this year out of this penny pinching exercise that they're undertaking. On the same day, I've been invited to an in-person meeting with respect to the community caretaker scheme, and I'll report back to that. On Tuesday the 18th of March, I've been invited to attend another member briefing, and this time it's for the development at Archers Low. And again, I'll report back to that at the end of the March meeting. Regarding the breach of the planning control with respect to the landscaping at the Montague Place development, I'll be attending a site meeting with the volunteer tree warden in April or May, as this will provide the optimum opportunity to assess the planning enforcement, which we've been informed has taken place, regarding maintenance is actually being adhered to by Abbey Homes. The next full council meeting will be on Wednesday the 5th of March, in which the 2025-2026 budget will be on the agenda. The proposed council tax increase is 2.98%, very much in line with previous years, which equates to an augmentation for a Band D property of £6.39 per annum. That's 13 pence per week, from £214.38 to £220.77. If you take the combined increase for Sandwich Town Council and Dover District Council, if you're on a Band D property, you'll get change out of 30 pence a week. If you're like me and live in a Band C property, you'll get change out of 25 pence per week. How different it is when you compare the Sandwich Town Council budget increases under the previous administration, which were 25% in 2020-2021 and 10% in 2021-22. And for the last 2 years, this council at least has 5% increases per annum on both occasions. And on a recent post on social media, I think admits some very bad case of amnesia on this matter, because criticism has been levelled at us for raising the precept by 5%. Very small in comparison with 30% over 2 years. And finally, the community roots ban will be on at Sandwich Age Concern on Thursday the 27th of February.
Thank you very much. Did anybody have any questions for the Dover District Councillor at all? No? That's all. Okay. Thank you for you giving your report, Councillor Morehouse. That's most advantageous there. Item number 8 is a verbal report from our Kent County Councillor on matters relating to Sandwich. Councillor Sue Chandler, would you like to come and address the council, please?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So I have some items which will undoubtedly impact on residents in Sandwich. So starting with a follow-on from my report at the last council meeting. So councillors will have seen from the media coverage that Kent was not included in the devolution priority programme, and there has been a lot of coverage of that, and I too share the leader's disappointment mainly because we will not receive additional funding or strategic powers, which could have made a lot of difference. However, the following day from that news, the government told the county council's leaders that they must indeed press ahead with their proposals for local government reorganisation. So whilst the devolution programme is not happening, local government reorganisation most certainly will. Two-tier authorities of Kent, of which Kent is one, now have until the 21st of March to come up with an interim proposal as to how Kent and Medway could be divided into unitary authorities rather than a two-tier district and borough council and county council structure. Full proposals on that will be expected by the 28th of November. I wanted then to just say that the council confirmed the budget for 25-26 at the full council meeting on the 13th of February. And the focus of that budget is on the continuing difficult financial climate in which the budget has to be set, with particular reference to the cost of adult social care, which takes about 50% of the council budget, about which the Cabinet Member for Finance has said that not only are costs for care rising sharply, but more and more vulnerable people across Kent are calling on KCC for vital help and support. And I'm sure everybody here will know somebody in their family or in their locality who will come into that category. So the budget has no choice but to continue transformation and savings in key areas. It makes progress towards nearly 20 million in policy savings, which is required, and starts to replenish reserves. And in the words of the leader, it reluctantly but realistically increases council tax and a significant portion of that council tax increase is of course directed solely at adult social care. I wanted to mention, and this relates to the speaker who was due to be here tonight but is unable to, because what she was going to talk about is related to this particular item. So an awareness raising film and campaign designed by Kent's young people to tackle street harassment and violence against women and girls launched across Kent on the 8th of February. So I was enormously proud of the young people involved when I joined them at the launch. And it's produced in partnership between Kent County Council, Kent Police and Kent and Medway Violence Reduction Unit and funded by government. So there's a film, Don't Disrespect, and there is also a campaign which includes posters on the backs of buses, social media campaigns and all of that kind of thing. I don't normally get excited at seeing posters on buses, but I followed one the other day that had that particular poster on, and it is quite good to actually see it happening. So this campaign challenges boys to take a stand and to end the street harassment that 75% of girls across the country aged 12 to 21 have experienced in the street. And you know, I think that's a pretty shocking statistic. The particular strength in this campaign is that it aims to find the solution within the community. It aims to give boys and young men the means with which to stand up to that kind of behaviour and to stop it, and I sincerely hope that it actually is effective. And I know that your speaker will be here in due course to talk about it in a slightly different context, so that's why I wanted to raise that. Just a couple of items. So the Fellowship Walk issue, I had phone calls also because people erroneously thought that Kent County Council were carrying out the works because the vans carry something which says Kent County. But I made haste to assure people that it was nothing to do with Kent County Council, but I also at the same time reported it to enforcement, so enforcement have had numerous referrals for that. And in terms of 57 New Street, any progress on 57 New Street would be extremely welcome. I recall in 2007, when I first became a district councillor, talking about the issue of 57 New Street, so to see some progress would be extremely good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to take any questions if anybody has any.
Oh, super. I just wanted to note that along with your the KCC campaign, VAWR, I believe it's called, Sandwich Town Council is discussing safe spaces this evening, in which Sandwich Town Council is likewise not based on gender, but likewise for young people to accommodate them when they're in distress or they have concerns at all. So we're
which would be extremely welcome, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Indeed. So, did we have any questions for the County Councillor this evening from any of the Sandwich Town Councillors at all? So, no? I think you've got away with it. I think you've got off early. Thank you very much for your report, Councillor Chandler. That's most helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 10, or rather 9, is report from local police representative Sandwich, and this is to receive a report from the local police representative where available. Do we have any police representatives?
No, nobody's here this evening, Mr. Mayor, but I did have a conversation last week with Christina Lauren, and she is attending the event this week, the volunteer thank you event.
Okay then, thank you. That's one bonus there. Item number 10 is updates from councillors. This is to receive and note verbal updates from councillors on meetings that they have attended as nominated representatives of the council. Do we have any updates from councillors? I think I have Councillor Marie first and then Councillor Mallet, and then I'll work around the table.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, quickly, the Lights AGM has been finalised. It is on the 4th of March in the Guildhall Hub down the bottom at 7 o'clock. Everyone is allowed to attend a public meeting. I'll be standing down as chair of Lights. It will be a good evening to come to if you want to come watch it. Firkinale, just to point out that Firkinale's they're doing their bit. They're doing their best under the current climate of lack of funding that they've been getting this year. They're scaling down the event quite considerably, but it will still be a good event in the first weekend of July. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Marie there. And then Councillor Mallet.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Very briefly on the VE Day celebrations coming up, I mentioned the previous STC meeting that I was approaching the owner of the only working searchlight in the UK from World War II. He has agreed to put the searchlight in the forecourt for VE Day. So when we switch on, we won't be switching on the Bunsen burner, we will be switching on a 3-mile beam of light. We have approached Manston through him. They know. He has a relationship with them, so we're not going to confuse any passing planes wherever they come from. We're also working on, I'm very fortunate we've got Councillor Anderson here. We've got permission to replicate the Lead to Land exhibition to show again, and I'll be running through with also Councillor Anderson will be doing a presentation on the Kitchener camp on the Tuesday the 6th. I've been running through the various events, particularly on the forecourt and leading up to it with Town Clerk, with regard to a promotional brochure which will go to businesses first, telling them what's going to happen. And I'll hopefully be speaking to Councillor Black at some point so that his information is included in that, so we'll circulate prior to the tourism event with your permission. Following that, a handout, a sort of an 8-page booklet, which is essentially 2 A4 sheets together, again going through the various events and sort of, having a little summary of what each one will be. That has been started. I'll circulate to Mr. Mayor and the Town Clerk a draft of a pin badge to be both given and possibly for sale. We buy them, we will have the potential for buying them for about £1 each, and we can then decide how much we sell them for, or potentially give them away. I think you might know that we've got the little ships are accumulating in Ramsgate to cross over to celebrate the 85th anniversary of Dunkirk. The Harbour Board, the Heritage Harbour Board, have given permission for them to, more than overnight, over a week in Sandwich Harbour, running up to that, so that they can approach and stay in Sandwich before going on to Ramsgate, so that they can work their way around the weather. So we will have a collection of Dunkirk ships in our harbour over a period of a week, 10 days, which I think would be quite a coup. And with regard to what Councillor Morehouse has mentioned, I am speaking not as a councillor, but as a member of one of the main festivals and also supportive of the other festivals with regard to parking fees. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. I believe Councillor Ripley was next.
Well, I attended a tourist forum earlier. Are you talking about the tourist?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, I was there as well. Sandwich in Bloom event, where the relevant forthcoming events for the year were mentioned, including, and I'm trying to get people encouraged to support these, cream teas at the Toll Bridge on April the 2nd, very good apparently. St Peter's Spring Clean on March the 10th, which will need volunteers. There's a trip to Wisley planned for early June. There's a little card scheme which will come into effect again in July. There will be a flower and produce show on September the 7th, and sunflower planting for kids, which is being held by the co-op starting on April the 5th. So there's a lot of things going on, and as per usual, Sandwich in Bloom is planning to do an incredible job for the town again this year. I went to a visit to Gays and Salts. I didn't visit Gays and Salts, I went to a meeting relating to Gays and Salts, the main theme of which was about potential replacing their shed there. And Something else that I want to mention relating to Heritage Open Days, which are going to be held this year in Sandwich on the 13th and 14th of September. Now we need some funding for this, and we're not intending to ask the Town Council for any funding. But I hope to start off, we won't need a lot, but I'm hoping to start off with some money that I've had for the past year or more, which was donated by various people, both councillors and public, towards the Richborough
World Heritage.
no, the no, it's the Richborough. That's it, thank you. The the Household Waste Recycling Centre.
Oh, I see.
Which we never used. There was £100 left. Now, my thoughts are that that could be well used towards the Heritage Open Day, which is obviously going to bring a great deal of benefit to the town. But if anybody who has donated money is not happy for that to be used for the Heritage Open Day thing as well, that's absolutely fine. If they just let me know, I can give the money back to them and they can do with it as they want. Otherwise, I shall put that money towards the Heritage Open Day.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ripley. And then I think we had Councillor Black. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, the tourism forum that my colleague referred to. We did have a discussion as requested by the Town Council to see what relationship they wanted to have with Sandwich Town Council. They want a fairly loose relationship. They don't want something very formal, so they don't want a tourism committee. I'll do a fuller report to the Heritage and Townscape Committee, which is the committee that sponsored the question. There are two particular issues, though, that the Tourism Forum is concerned about. One is a decision, whatever the decision is, about Visitor Information Centre. Where, when, and how are you going to do it? But obviously, it needs to move on considerably from what has happened in the past. We're not going to debate the pros and cons of that. That's up to the council to decide. The second thing is that we really feel that the council website could be a very, very useful source of information for visitors. And I'd like to speak to the town clerk when she returns from her trip to Australia to see what the plans are for that, or whether we need to look somewhere else for this kind of information. Because at present we have a very, very fragmented set of websites who don't talk to each other. Some are very out of date, and it's not a good system for our visitors. Just to notify all councillors that on the 18th we have a networking meeting of organised by Dover. The Mayor will be speaking. You're the first speaker, I believe.
Indeed, I'm doing an introduction.
If anybody's interested in tourism and networking, please write to Dover District Council. They've put something on Facebook a couple of days ago. If you're of particular interest, please go and get an invitation to that. It'll last about 2 hours, and then two of us are taking people who want to go on a quick tour of Sandwich, focusing as much on the commercial opportunities, the restaurants, the shops and so on, as well as the historic thing. And they're going to go to the Medieval Centre, where they will be organising various craft displays. So it's certainly worthwhile. Please come along, but you do need to register beforehand with Dover District. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, I just wanted to say there is an invitation to all councillors to attend on Wednesday the 26th. We have the volunteers thank you evening, in which has changed many years ago. It was I believe the Mayor's cocktail party, which seems totally inappropriate. And it is now a thank you to all the volunteers of the town. So that, I'm not sure what time it starts. 6:30. 6:30. So that's 6:30 here in the Guildhall on Wednesday. But all of the councillors have an open invitation to attend, and I think it'd be quite nice if as many came along as possible to say thank you to the volunteers that do so much in this town. Thank you very much, councillors. And then item number 11, we have financial information, budget comparisons, financial statement, cash book, bank reconciliations and forecast 2024-25 reports. 11A is to receive and note the Sandwich Town Council bank reconciliation as of 31st of January 2025. That is attachment 5A. Item 5B, 11B is to receive and note the Sandwich Town Council financial budget comparison report as of 31st of January 2025. That's 5B. And item 11C is to receive and note the financial statement cash book as of 31st of January 2025, and that is 5C. Did I have a proposer and a seconder for items 11A, B and C? Oh, Councillor Fortescue.
Yes, I'd like to raise the question of the Boatman Hill Chapel. I note in the STC expenditure that there's more than one item relating to the Boatman Hill Chapel. For example, 1510, £235.44, 1529, 1,500. That item includes expenditure on the Boatman Hill and some other things as well. So I think you need to consider this building really, because as I understand it, it's boarded up. It doesn't, again as I understand it, serve any useful purpose, but we're constantly spending money on it, and I can't help wondering if this is money well spent.
Indeed, thank you for raising that query. I'll hand over to the town clerk in the first instance.
Thank you. So it's currently being used for storage, Councillor Fortescue. So there has been expenditure needed to make sure it's secure. But I think what would be really helpful to me is if you had any queries like this, if you could give them to me before the meetings, because then I can clarify and get a breakdown for you. But I don't have that information, I'm afraid, for you this evening. Okay.
And just to make you aware, Councillor Fortescue, unfortunately that building has been like that for the entire tenure that I've actually been on the council. It is a Sandwich Town Council asset, but obviously over the years there's been a lot of reviews as to what use it could be put to see if it could be put to some positive use. Unfortunately there's not ever been, because it has no windows in it, there's not been any actual use, so all the reviews have all fallen by the wayside, unfortunately. But I do believe that the property manager is on his list to review what can be done with that, and if it is a liability, then we may have to make certain decisions about reducing or ending that liability. So that will be reviewed in due course. Thank you very much. Councillor Pennington?
Sorry, I just wanted to say on that point. Some of us have been very impressed with the work of the property manager, and I think he's doing a great job. I think it's important we view all these properties in a general framework rather than just looking at them one by one. And I know he is bearing that in mind and trying to present us with a little overview, and I thought Councillor Fortescue might like to know that.
Oh sure, thank you very much for that update, that's most useful. So those comments have been noted thank you. I'm just looking for a proposer and seconder for items 11A, 11B and 11C. So I have Councillor Chuka proposing and Councillor Weil seconding. All those in favour of those three items, please show. And that's unanimous, thank you. That has been passed there. Item number 12 is 57 New Street, motion from Planning Committee. The following motion is proposed from the Planning Committee for approval. So this was discussed at some length at the Planning Committee, and that is the proposal is to write a letter to Dover District Council requesting an explanation for their decision not to take any further action in relation to 57 New Street, Sandwich, and to seek their next steps in taking the issue forward. And we need to make a decision on this tonight as to going forward with that proposal. We have heard Mr. Whitaker speak to us tonight, so which may have given us a different view or aspect on this matter. But the main issue that I would like to raise here, and I think this is the one that we should be considering the strongest, is that whoever it was and whatever it was, Dover District Council were requested officially by a full council meeting to take some action on a derelict property in this town, and their vehement voting against that shows that there was no appetite to assist us with this. And then after that matter, I have been making inquiries with both the leader of the council and the chairman of the planning committee, and once again they have not given satisfactory answers to say why they voted against the decision. Now, the decision, as I spoke to the chairman of the planning committee, could have been amended on the night. So the decision included taking enforcement action, but also looking at undertaking a CPO. I have been told that possibly the CPO was the bridge too far, but on the evening, any of the members of that planning committee, including the chairman, could have made an amendment and said, we won't do the CPO, but we will undertake enforcement action for Sandwich Town Council, and they did not. So it leaves a very bad taste from Dover District Council as to what they will assist us with and when. And so I think we need to consider that. That is the mainstay of this matter. I think Councillor Chuka's hand went up first.
I was just going to say that we've heard quite a lot of information this evening from the owner of the property. I would prefer that we reflect on what we've heard, because it was certain aspects I hadn't been made aware of. I think we have a meeting lined up with a member of the DDC planning committee and also an officer with our planning committee. I much prefer that Councillor Moorhouse would start the engagement that he intends to do, because he's also a member of our planning committee. We bring that together for the meeting that we have with the DDC officer and member of the committee, rather than diving in, because if you're getting no traction at the moment, I think we should understand the fuller set of information that I think is available, and that we should spend a bit of time trying to establish what we think the situation is. Because the CPO was discussed and discounted, but there are a number of other factors that I think we need to reflect on after what we heard tonight.
Indeed,
That's my
thank
personal
you,
view.
Councillor Chuka. Councillor Moorhouse and then Councillor Wiles, please.
Thank you, Mr.
Oh, sorry,
Chair.
then Councillor Marie.
I attended the said meeting in person on the 29th of January. It was a full council meeting, and it was a motion from the members. It was voted along party lines, and it illustrates perfectly why party politics does not work at district council level. Because here we have a situation where Councillor Friend put forward a motion which, as a declaration of intent, I thought was sound. I felt that the reference to the CPO was clumsy. However, I seconded the motion as it stood, because as a Sandwich District Councillor, I did not feel it was the right thing for me to do to undermine Councillor Friend's motion. So therefore, myself, the other independent and 13 Conservative members voted in favour of the motion, and 15 Labour councillors voted against it, and it was down to the chairman's casting vote. I feel that one of the Labour members should have made a proposal to amend the motion to remove the reference to the CPO and just put it under enforcement. And I know it's wishy-washy, but the CPO is the sticking point here because of the associated cost. I've since learned since that meeting that does not necessarily mean that cost would fall upon Dover District Council or the council taxpayers. However, that's the information I had at the meeting, and and I voted in accordance with that. And I feel that I made the right decision, and I feel that the decision was the wrong one. Having listened to what I listened to tonight, I feel that we should not pursue whatever intention we had with reference to that meeting. We should park for the time being and pursue the discussion with Mr. Whittaker, who, again, I have to admit, how brave of someone. That property has been in such an appalling state for so many years. I've got nothing but admiration for the man for actually having the wherewithal to come and talk to us tonight very candidly about this situation.
Thank you very much, Councillor Moorhouse. Councillor Wiles and then Councillor Moore, please.
Yeah, I'd have to disagree with that last comment. I think, I mean, yes, it was good to meet Mr. Whittaker. I've seen him around the property. I've never engaged with him. I don't believe he's ever engaged with this council. No. He's obviously had engagement with Dover District Council. But I've seen correspondence going back 15 or 20 years with DDC. This has been going on a long, long time. He's talking about an application that's barely 2 years old. And I think we should proceed with this motion. It's clearly the case that he has been attempting to do some work, but when you're talking about 1.25 million, you know, that's a major project, and I don't believe much is likely to happen. And really the sense of frustration in the town is about the way the planning system is working or not working, not just here but on other sites. It would be a real shame if we got into an adversarial relationship with DDC, so we have to try and work with them and try to understand what they have or haven't done on this property. But clearly the correspondence I've seen shows a lack of action, a lack of initiative, a lack of any form of enforcement. And this is a beautiful building that's just been allowed to fall apart. So we have to take action. I would propose an amendment to the motion to say that we ask DDC to respond to the lack of response to the application going back 2 years, which is 23/00176, and why that hasn't been responded to, as well as the rest of the motion.
That's right, thank you for that. But before I come on to Councillor Marie, I just wanted to, I did share with Councillor Chuka earlier this evening that when I was actually a Dover District Councillor, that was my priority, was 57 New Street, the same as it has been for Councillor Moorhouse. And I did make a couple of meetings with Mr. Whittaker many years ago. I'm talking about 2019 this would be, and he initially he seemed quite happy to engage with me as a Dover District Councillor to get some sort of work undertaken on the property. But when I made arrangements to take a Dover District Councillor there, because I needed the technical knowledge from a planning point of view, we were told to leave his property immediately. So in 2019 I was trying to address the situation and trying to get both sides of the matter together, and in fact he didn't want to know, and we were told to leave his property immediately after I'd arranged a meeting, but that's by the by. Could I just go to Councillor Marie first, and then we had Councillor Pennant.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I completely agree with what Councillor Wiles just said. This has been a long time coming. That gentleman could have come to this council to explain the situation regarding the 57 New Street a long time ago. I do feel, however, we need to see what Dover District Council planning are playing at regarding the application to fix the roof that was put in 2 years ago. If the proposal that Councillor Wiles has made, I'm quite happy to second that. I do feel that it's a long time coming. I do condone. I have seen some of this on social media. Yes, they are very bad. However, this has been an ongoing issue regarding the town for a long time. That is the entrance into that main road, is the entrance into the town, and that the building is dangerous. But as I said, I'll second the motion that Councillor Wiles.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Marie. And finally, Councillor Pennington.
Yes, thank you. I feel that yet again we are in a rather helpless situation, and the motion as drafted asks Dover District Council what action it intends to take. I don't find anything partisan or offensive in that, and I think it stands as a marker of this council's concern about the whole situation. So I'm in favour of Councillor Wiles's proposal.
Thank you very much, sir. So we've now got a proposal on the table from Councillor Wiles to go ahead with this, but slightly amended. Did you have the amendment?
So I wasn't
So that
actually
everybody's
clarified,
aware.
thank you. So you want to write a letter to Dover District Council requesting an explanation for their decision not to take any further action in relation to 57 New Street, Sandwich, and to seek the next steps in taking the issue forward, including a response for, respond to the lack of response for 2 years on the planning application. Doesn't quite make sense, does it?
Yeah, I think the wording of this probably is a bit negative. So I would say requesting an update on application 23/00176 as to why that's not being dealt with, and also to seek clarification on what further action will be taken. Because I don't believe DDC have said they're not going to take any action, but just that they rejected the resolution from Councillor Friend. And I agree completely that, again, we don't want this to become a party political football. It's much more serious than that.
Just briefly, Councillor Morehouse, was it?
Yeah, I think diplomacy is key, and if Councillor Wiles's suggestion is that we're asking the Labour group as to why they voted against taking any action, and also seeking clarification about the planning application that hasn't been, then I'm okay with that. But I don't want to start an adversarial relationship with DDC in its entirety, because that would achieve nothing.
We wouldn't be doing that.
But in the same way, we can't have an adversarial relationship with the property owner over. We really have got to play this one very wisely.
Indeed,
we really want
indeed.
to get a resolution to this.
That's correct. Yeah. So, just so everybody's aware and for the public's information, Sandwich Town Council will be just the mediator between the two. So the property is within our ward, so we want something done about it. Basically, Sandwich Town Council will be the mediator to get the property owner and the planning authority to get them together and to try and move this on. I think there's, without sort of making any personal comments, I think there's issues on both sides, as Councillor Marie raised earlier, and as people have said about Dover District Council. We do have to move on, so we've got a proposal on the table, and I believe it was seconded by Councillor Marie.
Yeah.
So all those in favour of that proposal, please show to send a letter to Dover District Council. Okay, so that has been passed.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Councillor Franklin. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That has been
Could we leave the town clerk to draft that in
Indeed.
diplomatic language?
Indeed. Thank you very much. At least we've got some movement now, which is good news. Item number 13, Maddox Trust Portfolio Position Review. EFG Harris Alday have provided a report that the town clerk has shared with members that relates to the current positioning of the portfolio, which is not consistent with the selected investment strategy and risk profile. EFG Harris Alday have agreed a temporary waiver for the situation, but it does need addressing. Members are now invited to debate the proposal and agree adoption of the new suggested positioning of the portfolio by EFG Harris Alday. And this is attachment number 6. You should have had something which gives an overview of the investments for the Maddox Trust. Just briefly, we can take an overview on this, but we basically need a decision, yay or nay, to go ahead with the investment as seen. So, did anybody want to make a proposal on this matter? Councillor Green, please stand.
Mr. Mayor, we obviously had a discussion just before this meeting, again, I think there is some reflection that we need to do. We've got a meeting of the Maddox Committee coming up in the near future. I think, speaking from myself, I would either want to defer this decision or reject it. I'm not happy with the proposal that they put forward. They've not given any indication of the potential for the fund to grow. They've focused on a dividend yield which is below that which we are challenging on another charitable fund that we're the trustee of. So I think the proposal should be to defer this until we've all had time to reflect.
Super, thank you very much for that. And I'm quite happy to second that proposal. All those in favour of deferring this decision until after the Maddox Committee meeting has been undertaken, please show. That's unanimous. Thank you very much, councillors. Item number 14, proposed renewal of Council Hive. Oh, right, see, sorry. Council Hive subscription for STC. The council has requested to support the renewal of the Council Hive subscription and to approve the continuation with the services of Breakthrough Communications. This is attachment number 7, and you would have had some documentation from the company which Breakthrough Communication, who are supplying the services. I think the only comment I would have myself is that this company provide a large amount of workshops and training for councillors, and I think that I'm quite happy to propose that we renew this, because I see this service as a great tool to both the town clerk and the assistant town clerk, but I think that we should make full use of all the services that they offer, so that we get our money's worth, if that's okay. So I'm prepared to propose that. Are you seconding it?
No.
Oh, you're not. Okay. Please stand and address the council.
Yes. We spent £150 last year on councillor training, 2 councillors. It's not a vast sum, but that's up to councillors to determine whether they want the training or not, and whether they're of expertise. Can I just ask, will we still be able to have access to calc and NALC? Because while there is a portfolio here, it's not necessarily as comprehensive as some others. I assume the answer is yes, we will have access, yes. But you want to shrink the budget a bit, I imagine.
Yes. So there's going to be some new on-demand, self-paced communications, engagement and GDPR training for councillors via the Council Hive. And then some annual communications and GDPR FOI compliance, health check and action plan for the town council as well. So these are new services that are going to come through with the Council Hive subscription. But you're quite right, calc and NALC training will still be available, and I'll do what I've done previously. I'll bring those reports to the Human Resources Committee, and hopefully we can, debate on the training opportunities, because I think you're right that there hasn't been much uptake last year.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Black. Are you speaking or second?
I'm speaking.
Oh, please stand.
Then I have to second.
Please stand. Please stand.
So my comment was just to focus on why we employed this organisation. It was off the back of a spike of a number of requests for information. It was almost like every day another request for information landed, which obviously we do need to respond to. But this was a resource that was used to benefit the town clerk and her team in terms of compiling and responding. So the training aspect is one element, but it's not the totality of it. So I do support that we do use it, but I think we just need to be mindful that at the end of this year we do reflect on the spiking that happened in the past. Hopefully particularly one individual maybe have got over that desire to ask for anything and everything, and we might not need the services as much the following year. So it was for GDPR purposes initially, but they have a much wider portfolio of offer to make.
Indeed. So I'm putting forward the proposal to go ahead with this on the understanding, adopting Councillor Tuker's recommendation, that it is reviewed at the end of the year to see that we've had the best use of that. So very briefly.
May I just confirm then that the minutes will make it clear that both NALC and CALC will continue to be available as required?
Yeah.
Indeed, there was no.
I'm just trying to be pedantic and extremely accurate.
Indeed, I don't believe there was anything to say we weren't ending our relationship. Thank you very much. So I'm proposing, and you're seconding. All those in favour of the renewal, please show. That's unanimous. Thank you very much, councillors. Item number 15 is the proposal for quarterly Sandwich Town Council magazine. Town clerk to share a report with a proposal to launch a Town Council magazine that is published every quarter. Members are invited to support the initiative and agree the expenditure from the agreed budgets, and this is attachment number 8. And we have 2 recommendations there. Number 1 is to agree to the proposal to generate content and publish a quarterly magazine for STC and STBF that shares news from the Town Council as well as helpful information for the community and residents. And item number 2 is that the expenditure of £2,500 be agreed for this initiative as identified by community engagement in the approved budgets, with a 50% drawdown from the 2025 budget and 50% drawdown from the 2025-26 budget. So it's not all from 1 year. So did I have a proposer for this? Oh, Councillor Ripley, please stand and address the council.
Yeah. Will there be advertising in this magazine?
So the publisher will handle all the advertising. So that's where they're generating some revenue. So we're providing content, and then there will be some advertising space in the magazine as well.
So we don't get any benefit from that?
We don't get benefit from the advertising, no, that's for the publisher.
Councillor Marine next.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have some concerns regarding this. We have 3 local magazines that come in weekly, monthly, so I say, within the town. We've got the Community Ad magazine and the Sandwich Times. Yourself and other councillors put in their bits and pieces in the Community Ad once a month. The events put their stuff in. Also the also Sandwich and Bloom, etc., put their stuff in. I do feel that this is a waste of money, and the money could be spent on something else. The community ad is a free thing. The council put their stuff in, the events put their stuff in. It's published once a month with a diary of what's happening throughout that month within the town and also the local villages. I do feel it's a waste of money to do that, and the money can be spent on other things.
Thank you very much for that opinion. I think Councillor Pennington and then Councillor Black, Councillor Wallace.
I'm not necessarily against this proposal, but I did have 3 questions. One relates to the issue raised earlier about why the company was paid already £12.50 before a decision was made by the council. The second is along the lines of Councillor Marie. Normally you have quite a high profile in the Sandwich community ad, I can't remember.
Community ad magazine.
And I don't know whether that would continue if we might be seen to be in competition. And thirdly, on the sort of human resource costs, I mean, who is going to provide the material? It's always a difficult issue when one gets involved in this kind of venture. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then I believe I had Councillor Black and then Councillor Wiles. Do you want to, Councillor Wiles?
I can see the merits of this. I just wondered, it's talking about distributing in villages beyond Sandwich, Ash and so on. Have we consulted with those parish councils? Will they feel we're treading on their toes in some way if we put things through their doors?
I have reached out to Ash Parish Council, yes, Councillor Wiles. I haven't had a response yet because the clerk's on holiday, but you know, I am making means to communicate with them, so that is all in progress.
So the Councillor Black, please.
3 points, I think, echoing what some others have said, is are we going to be able to generate enough content? I think you're looking for about 12 pages of content.
I'm not sure.
I can assure you, Councillor Black, there will be plenty of content. And this will be an actual tool where we can communicate with residents that we haven't had previously. I appreciate we've got community ad, but that is just one or two articles from the council. I'm talking about content purely from the council. This won't be other people with input as well. This will be a council magazine.
Again, I share my the scepticism of the sheer human resources load. Secondly, on the advertising side, the publisher is responsible for the advertising. Do we have any say over any of it? And there's some advertising which we would not wish to be associated with. I can't think of anything at the moment because I very much doubt with British BAE Systems building warships and so on with advertising it, but this sort of thing.
Yeah, no, it will be sort of predominantly local advertising. I've already had contact from somebody that's looking to advertise and asked me if we've got a magazine that they'd like to buy some advertising space. So there will be leads coming through. That's the thing of launching a magazine.
Yeah.
We do get those leads.
Okay, and the final thing is really places like Worth and Woodnesborough, are they to be included?
No, so they are not on the list. So it's predominantly Ash, Westmarsh, and thank you. Yes, I couldn't remember the other one. There's another one. But
Because they're neighbouring parishes.
There will be businesses in those other villages that will be a draw to the villages, but it's not anticipated that we're going to go through everybody's door in Worth and Woodnesborough. There will be businesses though locally in the village so that people will have access to it.
Okay, that answers my questions. Thank you.
Councillor Morehouse and then Councillor Breen briefly, and then we need to vote. Sorry. Councillor Chuka after Councillor Morehouse. Pardon, sorry.
Referring to Councillor Black's comments, Dover District Council, the ward includes Sandwich Bay and Woodnesborough. So I do feel that they should be included in this distribution. I'd like to ask who's undertaking the distribution. And thirdly, I'd like to know, so say this is a 24-page publication. If half of it is advertising, the other half is content, don't you think that our contributions are going to get somewhat lost in the plethora of advertising that's going to be in this magazine? Because I personally find that a lot of this advertising off-putting, and I just end up putting these publications in the bin.
Indeed. Well, thank you for those comments. Councillor Chuka, would you like to go next?
So I just have two observations. One is that other publications have been mentioned, but we only have limited access to those, and it's very much at their response rather than our demand. A couple of times I've tried to get articles in and haven't been received in terms of inclusion. And in terms of how much we actually get in community ads, that was mentioned. It's a very small part of that publication. It's up to a page at best, and there's a lot this town council does want to communicate outwards, and social media and the website isn't the only medium that does work. Which leads me on to the second point, which is linked to that. We have seen through recent exercises like the Highway Improvement Plan and feedback, and other exercises where we've been told more than once, don't just use social media or the website. So there is a demand out there from some residents who do not use those ways of accessing information about the council.
Thank you very much. That's very good. Last
just
one.
Very briefly, speaking on behalf of Woodnesborough Parish Council, we don't have any businesses where they could be distributed, so it would have to be through people's doors. So, and I think that if we're including Ash and the like and Westmarsh, could we consider Woodnesborough? Possibly.
And just very finally, Councillor Breen.
Sorry, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and I'm sorry to be sceptical about this as well. A number of things, we've talked about various feedback from residents. How many are there? Councillor Chuka mentioned the highways improvement. We have one person in the highways improvement. We know who that person is. One in over 70 people. So, we're sending out 6,500, is it, something?
That's great.
To catch the 1 or 2%. So maybe when we're getting feedback, we should maintain a log of those people so that we can communicate directly with those. That's kind of my first point. My second point is, if we've got so much content, you know, surely we could make much more avail of the website that we've got. So, you know, I would say that. The third thing I would say, we're committing £2,500 a year. Have we been through a formal procurement process to get this provider? I don't remember it happening, but forgive me if I've missed it. The next point is, we're talking about producing a magazine in about 6 weeks' time on the 7th of April. I don't actually think we're going to be able to achieve this programme. And then, you know, the proposal is asking members to generate content. You know, from my point of view, you know, the work that I do for the council is absorbing all of my capacity, and I know the council officers have been at full capacity to the point where, you know, we struggle to arrange meetings to conduct what I believe is urgent business.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Town Clerk, would you like to reply?
The only reply I will have for Councillor Green is I am not asking any councillors to provide content. I will work day and night in the next 2 weeks to get the content together. I've already spoken to the publisher, so if you agree this evening, I will deliver. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. So I was quite happy to propose that this does go ahead. Was there anybody that wanted to second that at all? Oh, sorry, Councillor Tuke was second that.
I'd like to ask an additional question.
Very, very quick one, because we're going through the voting now.
I mean, are we going to make any evaluation of this expenditure, and at what point? Because we're committing for a year. At the end of that year, are we going to make an evaluation, and how are we going to do that?
Indeed, an evaluation could be undertaken, so we could send out a questionnaire or a survey of members of the public in the magazine. So yeah, indeed. Anyway, we've got a proposal and a seconder, so it's obviously down to yourselves how you want to vote. So those in favour of undertaking this venture, please show now. Six in favour. Those abstaining, please show your yellow cards.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 abstaining.
And those that are against, please show
2.
2. What was the result?
6 in favour, 6 abstained, 2 against.
Oh, right.
She had 6 in favour and 2 against.
Oh, okay then. Oh, super. Oh, so that item is carried. Thank you very much.
Waste of money, in my opinion. Sorry.
Please remain silent, Councillor Marie. Thank you. Item number 16 is a proposal for lease copier for Sandwich Town Council. Town Clerk has shared a proposal to lease a new copier for the Town Council. There are currently 3 quotes to consider and a recommendation from the Town Clerk, and this is attachment number 9. And I thought this was actually a very thorough report, and the information that was given on the copier was in very much in depth. So I'm sort of quite happy to propose this one. This also has the aspect that the current copier, thank you, that is actually in the staff room now. 2 things. One thing, it shouldn't be in such close proximity to members of staff that are working there, because there are particulates that come out of photocopiers, and I have raised this with the Town Clerk. So if we do change photocopier, it will have to be relocated so it's away from the staff. The second matter is noise pollution, and the current photocopier has got a persistent, I use the term squeak. It's got a noise from the machine that cannot be fixed, and because it's so old, the Town Clerk has undertaken on a number of occasions to call the engineer in, and when they try to make changes to it, Unfortunately, it doesn't last very long and the squeak comes back. And secondly, the other issue was to do with the print quality
The landing.
and the banding, which you wouldn't be able to see from your report, but it does have sort of banding, so where it prints out like a band of colour, it's sort of coming off the edge of the print, which is okay just for a report that you're going to throw away. But if it's for a children's certificate to thank them for volunteering for litter picking, you don't want coloured banding all over that. So I'm quite happy to propose that this photocopier is replaced. They should be replaced anywhere between 3 and 5 years in a larger scale company. So for a smaller scale company, 5 to 7 years should be the life of a photocopier with this use. So I'm quite happy to propose this. Did I have a seconder? Councillor Morehouse is seconding. All those in favour of replacing the photocopier, please show. Okay. Oh, thank you very much, Councillor Black. So that's unanimous. That has been passed. Thank you very much, councillors. Item number 17, financial regulations. New template from NAUC. The RFO and Town Clerk have prepared the draft finance regulations for the Town Council using the new NAUC template. Members are asked to consider the draft for comment and to agree that full council adopt the new financial regulations. And this is attachment number 10, and the decision is required on this. Have you all been able to read through? There's quite a few pages, but as I say, this is something that we're adopting from NAUC, and obviously it will improve our financial regulations within the council. So, Councillor Black, did you have?
Yes, I raised this at the FGP as well. Can I make sure, please, that let me just get the paragraph. That 4.2 is specifically noted in the minutes, and that's about the role of the Human Resources Committee. If it's been noted in the minutes of F&GP, fine. But if not, please, I would like that it's noted here. There were a couple of other things here about. I think it's very important for the Town Council in 514 to actually tell people we are not obliged to have the lowest, accept the lowest tender, because we need quality as well as price. And I think it's very important that the public knows that we legitimately can say, no, we need the right quality. So you've got some positive support on that. And there were some concerns about the workload that's going to be there on things like risk assessment and so on. I'm not sure how the RFO is doing a sterling job, but this seems to load that person up even more. And finally, this no carry forward of budgets. That is a little bit of change from some budgets that we had, and I think people ought to be aware of the implications of that.
Indeed. Thank you very much for that, Councillor Black. I will point out that because this is coming from NAUC, this is what is seen as industry best practice. So if you're voting against this, you're actually voting against the industry best practice that is used by other members of NAUC there. So I'm quite happy to propose this forward. If everybody else, Councillor Pennington is happy to second. All those in favour of adopting the financial regulations, please show. Okay. Any abstaining or any against? Did you have the right one up, Councillor Pennington? Oh,
Thank you.
That item has been passed. Thank you very much, Councillor.
I'll let you do it.
Item number 18 is alleged corruption at STC report. Following the last full council on the 27th of January 25, the Town Clerk was instructed by Council to seek evidence of alleged corruption inside STC from a source on Facebook post December 2024. The Town Clerk has prepared a report that confirms the position following inquiries undertaken on behalf of the Council. Members are invited to receive and note the report, and this is attachment number 11. did we have any queries? Councillor Marie, and then Councillor Wiles, and then Councillor Anderson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. For those that don't know, it was myself that made the allegation on Facebook on my social media platform. The reason I made the comment is regarding being withheld information that I thought I was being withheld information. However, in January I had a meeting with the town clerk and the mayor. The issue was resolved. I see, as I've put on this and an email that I sent to the town clerk today and also last week before this, I have no obligation to make a report and I will not do so. I see it as the matter is closed. The conversation we've had with the town clerk, I thank the town clerk for her help and with her report. The town clerk cannot hold any councillor to account. She can only investigate and make the recommendations to the council. If any councillors wish to, they don't like the decision that's been made or what I've said, they're more than happy to go to Democratic Services, District Council, where they can make a formal complaint to the monitoring officer. Well, I will answer the allegations to the complaint accordingly. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Councillor Marie. And then I believe we have Councillor Wiles and then Councillor Anderson to speak, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I propose that we receive and note this report and move on.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Anderson, did you want to speak?
Yes, I'm a bit puzzled by Councillor Marie's response because, as we noted at the start of this meeting when we amended the minutes, we did vote as a council to ask the particular individual who had made these allegations to write a report. And we've just been told that by Councillor Marie, who's perhaps not the best person to make that judgment, that he has no obligation to respond to that resolution which we all passed. So I am really puzzled by what is happening here. I think if we are accused of corruption as a council, and I presume that that includes all councillors and all staff, I mean, it's the council, we have a right to inquire, as indeed we resolved to inquire, to invite the person who made the allegation to produce the evidence. And I don't understand why we should just move on.
No, thank you for that. Town Clerk, would you just be able to give an explanation as to what powers that the council and town clerk have to?
Yes, so I do not have any authority, nor does the council, to investigate individual councillors. All I can do is seek if there is any evidence. I did that, there is no evidence, and that's why I've done this report this evening. So there is no further action I can take or the council can take, but if anybody does have any concerns or they want to raise anything, the course of action is through the Democratic Services District Council with the monitoring officer. That's where any individual councillors can complain about other individual councillors. It is not my remit to do anything. I cannot hold any councillors to account, and nor can the council.
Okay, so my further question then is, as you say, there is no evidence. No evidence has been offered by the particular councillor engaged in making this accusation. Can we not record that an accusation, an allegation was made of this council engaging in corrupt practice for which no evidence has been produced? And I think it's very important that that is recorded.
Indeed, yeah, that's not a problem at all, Councillor Anderson. That can be minuted to show that. Thank you for that observation. Councillor Wiles had a proposal on the table which was to note the report, and I'm quite happy to second that. All those in favour of noting the town clerk's report on this matter?
Will this include Councillor Anderson's comments?
I've minuted that.
You've minuted that.
Yes.
That's fine, thank you.
That's right.
In that case, I'll...
5 abstentions.
5 abstentions. Thank you. That has been passed. Thank you very much. What have we got here? you've
Mark
got two
next.
reports,
Yeah.
haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm deciding at this particular time of the evening that we will have a 5-minute break, so please avail yourself of the facilities, but try to be back here as quickly as possible. Thank you.
It is,
Number 19 is the Bulwark Play Area Project update. Councillor Chuka to share a report with members to provide an update on the Bulwark Play Area Project and to seek a decision on whether the council are willing to commit to funding the future replacement of a specific item of equipment. And this is attachment number 12, and I will call upon Councillor Chuka to update us, please.
So I'll just very quickly do a summary of what's included in the report. So it is an update on the project. From the budgets available, the project will deliver a number of new items, including 4 tower with bridges, multiplayer unit, a spring multi-seesaw, a basket swing and a sensory rain wheel. It will also improve the access to the park. So one of the things that was mentioned quite a bit in terms of the consultation was about the steep slope from the quay itself. So they're going to reduce the gradient of the slope at the main entrance. It will also include a refurbishing of some equipment and the laying of new surfacing at various points in the play area. So I just wanted to mention 2 points that aren't directly mentioned in the report. So since that report was written, some minor changes have been made to the contract works that DDC have entered into with the provider, and that's released some savings in the cost of the project that will be used to extend the new surfacing, which will mean that the whole area will have a complete new look in terms of the surface itself. It will also enable the installing of an additional kaleidoscope play panel in the park itself. The second point I wanted to mention is that clarification was given by DDC around the equipment that needs to be replaced. It's actually the slide, not the swing set, so that is reflected in the proposal. The costings remain the same, nothing has changed on that point. The project at the moment remains on target to be completed by the May school holidays, which is the 26th of May, with an anticipated start date of either week commencing the 21st or 28th of April for the work itself. The proposals are as standard except for the one change I've mentioned. Now the point about making a commitment is, firstly, DDC have asked for commitments, but the background to this is their approach to any play parks that they find equipment fails at the moment is the equipment just gets stripped out. They do not replace. So what we're saying is they will earmark a replacement for this, which is a key piece of equipment in the play park, but they're seeking a commitment from Sandwich Town Council to fund a portion of that. No amounts have been mentioned, but we're looking at least for the principle. And if we are able to suggest an amount we might be willing to do, or at least suggest that we will commit to earmarking money in future budgets rather than it being one big lump sum, we can do that as well. But the minimum that we're looking for is a commitment that at the point it fails in that 5 to 7 year time span that they've estimated, that Sandwich Town Council will step up. So that's it in summary.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Chuka. And the recommendations are number 1, confirming that the Town Council will provide a contribution in the future towards the replacement of the equipment. Item number 2 is, if a commitment is given to contribute, what level of contribution might that be? And item number 3, whether a ring-fenced amount based on growing a reserved amount over a 5-year period should be set aside from the 2026-27 budget and subsequent budgets to replace that. I would like to put forward that this Town Council would be willing to commit to the replacement of that equipment, and with that commitment the contribution, I think, should be the fullest amount, because whatever contribution we make now, in 5 years' time, that is going to be not as worth as much money. And thirdly, I'd like to put forward whether, if it's over a 5-year period, I'd suggest £3,000. Was it 15? Wasn't it? Was the
So
suggestion?
the total cost for replacement is 10 to 15,000, of which Dover will pay. I won't use any words in terms of describing how much, but they will pay an amount towards the item. They're looking at for a contribution for the council from Sandwich Town Council, and our portion, I would argue, should be a smaller percentage of the overall cost.
Indeed.
Much smaller percentage.
So I would like to propose £1,000 a year towards this cost. So that would be. Oh, sorry, I have my glasses on. Councillor Pennington, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. And I understand the problem with the glasses.
I can't see distant.
No, I simply wanted to, these are financial issues. I simply wondered if the RFO has given a view on this.
Indeed.
So I haven't actually spoken to the RFO in particular because it wasn't talking about this year's budget yet. But I know that obviously if members are minded to support, which I think is a great initiative, obviously we can factor that into our budget setting processes each year.
So this will be for the 2026-27 budget.
Yeah.
So obviously any of us here can, when we're setting that budget in October of this year, we can say, don't forget about the playground equipment. Very quickly, Councillor.
It's my first time. I think I might take 10 minutes, but no. This isn't our only playground, though, is it? We do have Polders Garden. So I think if you're going to do this, it should be a budget for both, for the playground areas, say, rather than just focus entirely on the ball work. You know what's going to happen? We're going to have the equipment at Polders break down, and suddenly there's a lot of children use that one at Polders. So I think it should be covering all our playgrounds, so then it includes both of them. So it should be all our playgrounds, not just the ball works.
The only problem with that is we haven't had any surveys or assessment undertaken of the Polders Gardens one. So what
we're talking about the future, though, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry?
We're not talking about the present. We're talking about the future. So
the future, indeed.
So surveys can be taken. They're quite new, those equipment's up there. I think only a couple of years old.
Unfortunately, I do agree with you entirely. It should be equal amongst all of them.
Yeah.
But the recommendation that we've got here tonight, so we'd have to defer this recommendation because we'd have to then include Polders Gardens.
Right, and we defer it, we include Polders Gardens, then, Mr. Mayor. So I don't think it's right that we have one and the other one, I think that was used more by the locals than the one on the bulwarks.
So this is about a specific item that will fail within that time frame based on DDC's assessment. Polders Gardens has a range of equipment, so I think there's a parallel activity, Councillor Franklin, to engage with DDC to have the latest assessment they've got of the equipment there, so that we can form a proposal to then agree. I think building a fund is fine. We could just shortcut it and say we'll put more in. But actually there's a specific item they're looking for us to say we're happy to make a commitment towards, and that is not at the disadvantage of Polders Gardens. I think we have to deal with that and develop a proposal to support that in the future as well.
So what we're saying here, Councillor Franklin, is Dover District Council have asked us a specific question about a specific piece of equipment that forms these recommendations. What you're proposing is opening up to the other ones. But if you were happy to bring that to the next council meeting, we could then do that.
No, I think that you already decide tonight on the bulwarks.
We do.
I wanted to defer it to amend it so it includes both plans. But
this is specific just to one item. So you could come back next month and ask for a full assessment and review of the equipment in Polders, and then that could be taken to Dover District Council to evaluate.
So I'd be happy to engage, because I'm already engaging with the team that are dealing with the bulwarks. I'm happy to engage with them specifically on Polders Gardens to develop a proposal around maintaining that as a viable play park in the future, but I think it's separate from a specific item that we've been talked about here. but that's my personal view.
So, Councillor Breen.
Sorry, I think Councillor Marie was.
Oh,
actually
so
before me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Councillor Franklin also with the butts. I'm not sure about the butts, whether what the land lies with regard to the butts. Just one question I'd like to Councillor Duke, if I may, please. It says here the regraded entrance to reduce the grade leading to the main access path is now in line with disability discrimination requirements. My concern is that the cycle path goes straight across that entrance into the playground. I have mentioned it many times that needs moving. I wondered if that could be something that could be reconsidered or spoken about, because I do feel, and I've seen it a few times, especially when there's events taking place and there's lots of kids in the playground, they're coming charging out onto the green and there's a cycle just takes them straight out, and I do feel that is a very dangerous spot for a cycle lane.
That's right, yeah. That is actually pedestrian priority on that cycle lane.
Not when the bike's coming 20 miles an hour down the hill from the walk down.
So I know it's not a very nice thing to say, but it's the same with the one in Deal to Walmer between Sandown Castle and Kingsdown. It is actually under the bylaws, it's pedestrian priority. So if a vehicle, namely a bicycle, is coming along and a pedestrian walks into the cycle lane, then the cyclist has to give way to the pedestrian, and that's the bylaw.
I do, yes, it is a bylaw. However, I do feel that sometimes I get cycling. It's great, it's fitness, it's great to be active and stuff. However, they are a law to themselves. I know because I drive coaches in London, so they're a law to themselves. The other thing is if there's an accident, they lose control, they're going straight into the fencing, into the park or into a child. I do feel that needs, and this could be another conversation we can have with the DDC and Councillor Chuka. I've always, for the many years, I've always asked for that cycle path to be moved to the opposite side, because they've got a lot of runoff. It's a grass area, it's all flat, so if they want to fall over, they can fall over or fall over into the quay. I think I do feel that it needs to be addressed as well.
Indeed, thank you for raising that, and can I lodge that with
I
yourself,
think there's no
Councillor
reason
Chuka?
why I can't read that into this communication that seems to be getting longer. That is completely fine.
So two last questions. We've got Councillor Breen and Councillor Ripley, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I agree with Councillor Chuka. This is getting longer because it's quite a complicated subject. I agree entirely with Councillor Pennington that we need to consult the RFO about the amount of money that goes into the fund. And I agree strongly with Councillor Franklin that the other playground shouldn't be left behind. And Councillor Marie is just bringing our attention to what actually is involved, because it's all right talking about pedestrians, but when the pedestrians are 2-year-old toddlers, they're not really fully conversant with the laws. And this is an important matter because we all approved the payment schedule this evening, and we all approved £13,300 towards the cost of this upgrade. So this is a substantial amount of money. So £3,000 is nowhere near enough. We need to consult with the RFO. I think we should be budgeting more like £5,000 or £6,000 or £10,000 a year. So monies of that order, if we want to be, if we're serious about supporting the children of Sandwich.
Thank you very much for that. And Councillor Ripley.
Well, just following on from what Councillor Marie has been saying, I mean, kids don't know about the bylaws, do they? So there's nothing anywhere along that tells anybody, especially cyclists, that they're not allowed to run little kids over. So, I mean, it's totally meaningless, isn't it, in that case? It needs to be moved, doesn't it? Yeah, it's a danger.
Indeed, thank you.
And somebody nearly ran me over today.
Can I refer back to my previous comments about the new development, Discovery Park, and the link to Sandwich, when I said that shared cycle lanes and pedestrian footpaths do not work, and they should be abolished. This is an opportunity for us to push back against this and have the properly designated cycle lane adjacent to it, but not one that's going to put young children in danger of being
not at all
potentially killed, because these machines move at quite a speed.
Indeed, of course. So this evening, if I may draw your attention back, the item that we're discussing is entitled the Bulwark Play Area Project. So we have 3 recommendations to do with the Bulwark Play Area Project. So I've already said that I'm quite happy that the Town Council, my proposal would be that the Town Council would provide a contribution, that if the commitment was given, what level of contribution would be required. And I believe Councillor Chuka advised £1,000 a year for the next 5 years. So this is just for this particular one piece of equipment. And item number 3, if that ring-fenced amount was based on growing a reserve amount over a 5-year period, should it be set aside from the 2026-27 budget? And I'm saying yes, it should. So those were the 3 items that I'm proposing to the recommendations on the Bulwark Play Area only. If anybody wants to bring any further recommendations about any other play areas or anything else, I would be pleased to chair those in the March Town Council meeting. So that is my proposal. Was there anybody to second my proposal for those accepting those recommendations? Are you seconding it, Councillor Fortescue? Oh, thank you very much.
Can I just ask, sorry, Mr. Mayor, is this time critical regarding this funding and this proposal?
They need an answer so that they about the equipment as to whether or not it will be replaced.
Because I do feel, I do agree with Councillor Green. If it's not time critical, I do feel that we need to speak to the RFO regarding the monies. How much we can give.
It's no, we don't need to, Councillor Marie. This is not money that we've from the current budget. So the RFO has only got control over the current budget. We have the control over the future budgets, because in October of this year we will be saying, do we want to spend £5,000 redecorating the council chamber? So we have the control over future budgets. So this isn't coming out of the current budget. So I don't really want to take any more questions, because we're really running out of time now, or I have to defer all the rest of the items to another meeting. So we've got a proposal and we have a seconder, Councillor Fortescue. All those in favour of going ahead for the Bulwark Play Area tonight, please show your cards. Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in favour.
And those abstaining, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5
Abstaining. That's carried. Thank you very much, councillors, on that. And I would be very happy for Councillor Franklin to bring his proposal to the March Town Council meeting. Thank you very much, Councillor Franklin. Item number 20 is Safe Spaces Initiative. I call upon Councillor Chuka to share a report where members are asked to consider including Sandwich Town Council and the Guildhall as part of the county-wide Safe Spaces scheme that has been introduced across Dover District and currently includes 9 safe spaces in Dover, Deal, Sandwich and Elsham. And this is attachment number 13. I'll call on Councillor Chuka just to update us and then come to the recommendation.
So I won't go through the report because I think it's self-explanatory. It's mindful of the time, but I just say I've had the support of the town clerk in developing this proposal. It was something I came across towards the end of last year that had been launched elsewhere, and I felt that this facility here could accommodate this proposal. The town clerk is supportive of this, and the capability and capacity is here to do this. I mean, already the staff at times have to deal with people who come through the door with various needs, and this is just formalising this, particularly for those people who feel at risk or needing support. It's the top tier level of support. It's not about trying to resolve the problems for them, but just being a safe place for them to go to. I'll leave it there in terms
Thank
of
you.
our proposal.
And I'll take 3 questions on this. So, Councillor Black, Councillor Ripley, and Councillor Marie. Thank you. Please stand.
Are we proposing that this is available whenever the building is open? Because in the evenings, sometimes you only got one member of staff and they're all around the place, quite legitimately. So I'm not sure how that squares. They say ideally you'd want 2 people. During the working day, that's fine. And are we also saying at weekends? Or are we just saying when the council buildings are open for normal business rather than for the evening events? It's important not to clarify.
Pass you over to the town clerk to
Yeah.
clarify.
Thank you. So in the evenings, we do have security on site. So there is somebody in the building who's not sat in the meeting. So somebody in addition to me is here this evening. So that person would be obviously looking after anyone that needs any assistance. And it will be the weekends when the building is open. I'm not suggesting that we open the building, especially at weekends, to be
I didn't
sensitive.
suggest that. Yeah.
Indeed. I
Okay.
believe we have Councillor Ripley and then Councillor Marie, please.
Yeah, well, I'm fully in favour of this, but again, a question of is it opening hours only for safety, and what happens if somebody comes in who's distressed or in danger or something, and they have nowhere to go, and we have no, and the place is about to close down or something. What happens then?
I think the report addressed that.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, I had a situation a few weeks ago. So I'm fully versed with who to contact in emergencies, and I would ensure that person gets the assistance they
There
need.
would always be something there.
Indeed, thank you. And finally, Councillor Marie.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My concerns are the same as Councillor Black, Councillor Ripley, especially in the morning times during the school travelling times of between 8 and 7:30 and 8:30, where 9 times out of 10 the Guildhall building is locked, especially if I need to come in and say hello or to speak to the town clerk or whatever. Business hours I believe are 10. The other thing I would like to say is possibly this could go into the museum as well. However, I do feel that it needs to be checked with all the staff that work here, including the volunteers in the museum, that they are DBS checked, enhanced DBS checks under the safeguarding scheme for children. I know I am. I'm sure the town clerk is as well. And also, it'd be nice to see if the volunteers are, and also the caretakers and members of staff, in case a situation arises where the town clerk isn't here, etc.
All the staff are DBS checked, I can tell you that. The volunteers, I'm not suggesting that we pull the volunteers into this. This would not be appropriate for the volunteers.
I'm just saying, just in case, we have a sticker on the window that says safe space and the Guildhall's closed, so the next best thing is the museum's open and they go into the museum and speak to the museum coordinator or volunteer. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So I'll just say, so there's an assessment process. Dover District Council will assess the facility, the staffing profile. They will make recommendations and decide what can be made available. There are already, an offer is in Deal Library by a subsection of the staff there, which is Dover District staff. So the complexities around offering something, for example, with multi-business already exists. So we will be assessed, we will be judged, we will be advised. So this is just the first step to say we are in principle wanting to join the scheme, and then we go through the application process and we get assessed.
So obviously this is just a recommendation that members are asked to consider whether Sandwich Town Council and the Guildhall should apply to be part of the county-wide Safe Spaces scheme, and I would like to personally propose that we do. Being a school governor myself and being enhanced DBS checked, as Councillor Marie said, I think there is a need for this, and I think if we were a part of this scheme and it saved even one child from a distressing bullying or other situation where they didn't know what to do. And I can tell you, because I've been a governor of 3 of the 4 schools in this town, is the majority, probably about 65-70% of the pupils that go to the schools in this town come in from outside the town. It's a very, very high percentage. So if you've got somebody that's distressed and they live in Elsham or Deal or Walmer or somewhere like that, it's not readily that they can just run home to their parents or somewhere else in the town. So that's what we should be realising and remembering. If they see the sign and they know there's somewhere safe, it's appropriate and it's been checked, and it will be checked by Dover District Council.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, this is not just for children, it's for vulnerable
Oh,
adults.
indeed, vulnerable adults
and
as well.
people as well.
Indeed.
Which, yeah, I'm pleased to hear about the assess, because we need to have a safe room which is lockable, because if somebody's under the threat of harm, it might be a potentially violent situation.
Indeed, that's correct.
Which puts our staff at risk.
Indeed. But I'm pretty sure that the training will be given to our staff.
There's a whole package. Yes.
That's okay. So, in theory, we're proposing that we will join the Safe Spaces scheme. So, I'm proposing that. Was somebody to second that? Oh, Councillor Anderson seconding. All those in favour, please show. I think that's majority. Thank you very much, councillors. That's passed. So, item number 21 is granite sets. Following the last council meeting on the 27th of January, the proposed use of the granite sets at White Mill was deferred pending further investigation and information. The property manager has now attended the site and prepared a report for you to consider with recommendations. This is attachment number 14, and I will open this up for discussion, and obviously if anybody wants to discuss this matter, then I'll take some discussion on that. Councillor Pennington and Councillor Franklin.
Thank you. Just a follow-up issue. If a document comes to us and it says recommendations at the end, I think please select one of the following isn't very helpful. If there is a recommendation, it should say specifically what the recommendation is and why. Personally, I'm quite happy for White Mills to use the granite sets.
Thank you very much. Councillor Franklin, and then...
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'd like it to White Mill, she's great. They want to replace some horrible old slippery bricks there, and it's all uneven, so to make it a lot safer and a lot, especially for disabled wheelchairs to access, especially the dual buildings around the back, the carpenter shop, and so it'd be a vast improvement.
And then I think that we have Councillor Fortescue.
Yes, is it known what happened to the original sets, which were removed to make way for the new ones?
Yeah, they're gone. Down the bay.
That's a very big can of worms that I would not like to open at this present time. Councillor Mallet and then Councillor Anderson.
Just to add, looking at the way they're stored in boxes, wooden boxes outside, over the years the wood will rot, there will be a pile of bricks. Let's use them. So I would support
very much. And then Councillor Anderson.
Yes, as I understand it, when the forecourt was finished and we were told we had all these remaining sets, it was said that that was to our benefit, because eventually there would be a need to use additional sets when something failed on the forecourt. And I'm not quite clear what this language about comfort is. He says we could collect 20 times rectangle silver granite sets if that would assist in bringing a level of comfort. Well, I'm not quite sure what that, I presume that means a level of assurance.
Indeed, that's correct.
That sets could be replaced.
That's correct.
So so that's clear. So I think it's very important that we do retain some sets, that we don't just say that White Mills can have all the sets that are currently located on their site.
I just got to add that. We did have Cobblegate. There is 50 sets spare that was used on the compass rose on the quay, so they're not being used. There is 50 sets that are not a part of this.
Indeed. Thank you very much for that. Finally, Councillor Breen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for your information, Town Clerk, I did go down to the White Mill and I have taken a couple of photographs of the hatched area where they propose to use them, and I think I'll gladly send them to you or to all councillors if you wish, because you'll actually see what a terrible state and what a terrible hodgepodge is there, and it really reinforces the point that Councillor Fortescue has made. You know, the previous council have made an absolute travesty in not assigning the cobbles from the forecourt to the White Mill, because this amount of cobbles that we're talking about tonight will hardly touch the sides of what's needed down there.
Thank you for that update on the situation down there, Councillor. Did you need to speak?
No.
Okay, look. So,
Just
very
quickly, I need to clarify something. Okay, so I've looked at the land registry for regarding the White Mill. It says that DDC own the land. It's not. I believe they lease it. I'm not sure if they lease it for free. I'm going to Councillor Franklin can help me with.
Tollbridge Fund.
Tollbridge Fund. So it's leased by the Tollbridge Fund.
No, it's owned by the
It's owned because the land registry says it's owned by DDC. It doesn't, not the STDF. So I need to clarify. The other thing is, I think I asked this last time, and I need to clarify again regarding planning permission. Is planning permission needed, especially for that heritage area? Because it's a conservation area, surely.
It's replacing.
It's outside the conservation area there. So the proposal is that we collect a small number of the sets, 20 rectangular sets, and that we allow Sandwich White Mill to use the remainder of them to assist them with the flooring area. Do I have a seconder for that at all? Councillor Pennington, thank you. And all those in favour for option 2? Super, thank you very much. That's passed. Highways Improvement Plan update. Following the drop-in session for the Highway Improvement Plan on the 8th of January, the Town Clerk, Councillor Green and Councillor Chuka have been working on and preparing a report for the Council to consider on the findings of the survey undertaken within the community, to provide feedback to the Town Council on the issues raised by the residents, either at the drop-in session or provided online up until January the 24th, with the objective of deciding the actions to be taken ahead. And this is attachment number 15. So it's there. I did find, I'd firstly like to say thank you so much to Councillor Chuka, Councillor Breen and the Town Clerk on preparing the information from all the questionnaires, because that must have been quite a difficult and laborious task to undertake.
I just wanted to say, Councillor Green, thank you very much. Councillor Green actually did a lot of this work, so thank you very much for the support with the project.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't have done it without, you know, yourself, Jill, and but also the councillors who attended the drop-in session.
Yeah.
You know, that was.
Thank you very much for all the work you've done there. But from my own personal preference, this looks a lot like the several surveys that have taken place previously. Unfortunately, I don't know if anybody's had access to the previous traffic surveys that we've had here, where out of the 77 responses, 183 issues were raised, so that's quite a few issues per person, or several large ones. We've got up to 13 categories to look at and address, over 32 locations, and from my just surmising things, doing a top 5, obviously from the figures that are given, we've got parking, speeding, bus stop, pollution and road maintenance, and the locations even more unknown, because we've got highest number of other roads, and then we've got Sandwich generally, and then the coming third in place is the cattle market. So and also of course I don't know whether you can say it's skewed, but with the questionnaire, the majority of the respondents were, of course, 45 or over as well. So, but all I'd like to say is that it's probably brought us to where we were with the previous traffic surveys that we had in this town, which is there's a hell of a lot wrong, and there's not much money in the pot to put it right. So, but I'd like to open the discussion on this matter. Did you want to speak on that?
I
think also, and again, I'll thank Councillor Breen in terms of the immense effort in terms of compiling the data. It was really valuable. I think the process has worked well, and I think what's come out is some very specific areas to focus on. I'm happy to support those, but I'd love to hear from others about other aspects within the report that they think might jump out as well.
Councillor Black and then Councillor Marie, please.
Well, the cost argument is, if we look at these 5 recommendations, 4 of them are asking us to persuade other bodies. So the cost argument, I think, is pretty minimal. Anyway, we've only got 11,000 quid. I'm not sure what we mean by STC things. I suspect very few of those are directly under control. It does say we really, if we want to address, we really have to lobby and bang a few heads together, because things are not being done. We have this classic out here. Enforcement after 4 o'clock doesn't exist, does it? You know. So we're going to have to do much more persuasion like that. So it isn't money, but it's somehow getting people to pay attention, and that's the challenge.
Thank you very much for that observation. Councillor Marie and then Councillor Mallet.
Yeah, I agree with that, what Councillor Black says. However, I do tend to get parking tickets when I park in the residence space by where I live, because I haven't got a permit yet, so I get one at least once a week. Anyway, I think we all agree on there's one big thing on the recommendations of the HIP report, which is the bus stop. I think everybody in this council agrees that the bus stop needs to be changed and moved, and I think we need to start lobbying a bit more and start pushing that a bit more. The other thing is on the town council actions, it would be nice if possible. So, for instance, if I report a road pothole or something, or a street sign down or something, and say, I don't know, Councillor Chuka sees the same thing, maybe a database can be collaborated within the Guildhall to say, oh, Councillor Marie's already reported that, so it doesn't need to be reported again. Although more is better. So I know other residents will report the same thing. So it'd be nice to have a database of what's been reported. So we can chase it up as a council with KCC as well.
I can assist you with that, Councillor Marie, because obviously myself and Councillor Chuka report items on a regular basis. When you go onto the KCC website to report a road issue or what have you like that, it does bring up a map. So if there's something that's been reported already in exactly the same position, and it gives a small narrative about it, it will tell you it's already been reported. So
there's one more concern, there's one more concern I have as well, and that is the roadworks that are taking place within the town. There's a hell of a lot of them at the moment, and they're popping up left, right and centre, and we're having no notice of them whatsoever. I know some of them are emergencies, and so they don't have to. However, it would be advised if they, at least 24 hours before, to say that there's something's happening, so we can put something out there on social media or our website, etc., to say that this is going to happen. Because as I said, at the moment, High Street's closed, and it's a bit of a nightmare because we're having 7.5 trucks, even some coaches coming trying to go around up a Strand Street, which left into High Street, and I've had to go out numerous times last week to turn to have to reverse all the way back again because they can't make that turn. It's dangerous.
And that has been raised with our county councillor about the issue of the roadworks.
I did write to Councillor Chandler on that particular point this last week. Lo and behold, a bus actually caused an amount of damage on Upper Strand Street, I believe.
Yeah.
Was it Upper Strand Street? It certainly was.
That's where you have to go.
Yeah, and the next day, actually, the signage had been moved further down towards the quay, so actually, vehicles finding it more difficult to come.
Yeah. So as they're coming around the quay, they're turning right into Upper Strand Street, they're going straight on up towards. It's
Thank you for that. And then we had Councillor Pennington, and then I'll move along.
I'm sorry, just following on from that, the use of a road closed sign seems very indiscriminate. Doesn't tell you which road is closed or where. And the point I wanted to make is that from previous experience, the establishment of a speed watch team carries a lot of kudos and credibility, not only with the councils but also with the police. We found in Westgate that once we had a speed watch team, they were really anxious to help us. I don't know what it is, but it seems to act as a sort of a portal to lots of equipment.
Thank you very much. Back to Councillor Mallet, and then
it was just to clarify a point that Councillor Black made with regard to post 4 o'clock parking. regulations and the like and checking on people. I was at the HIP report meeting at 4 o'clock. I arrived and I got a parking ticket at 4. So you're wrong.
No, they just target this item, that's all.
So there are just two more questions then. Councillor Breen and Councillor Wiles, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When we were drafting the report, we tried to stick to facts and so forth. But if I just make some personal comments. First up, when I first became a councillor and was going out canvassing, people were talking about speeding and all of these issues. These issues don't go away. And because we've had a HIP drop-in session and we've written report, we can't just tick the box and move on. This whole issue requires permanent effort. We need to respond to all of the individuals who've come in to say what's happening. We need to promote some of the ideas, and it's going to take a lot of effort. And you know, my appeal would be, let's not, now that we've got the ball on the park, let's not kick it back in the stands. And
good point. Thank you for those comments. And finally, Councillor Wiles.
Yeah, I agree with the recommendations. The last one about looking at the overall plan for the town, etc. I'll just remind members about the Rummy report from 2016, which we committed £50,000 towards that report from Section 106 money, and it set out a vision for the town, which included dealing with many of these issues about traffic and pedestrianisation and infrastructure and so on. I'm not sure, I think DDC owned that report, but I'm not clear what status it has, but there's lots of good information and proposals in there, so I think we should bring that into this discussion as well.
Correct. And then prior to that, the Rummy report was the STAR report, which was a massive undertaking for a large number of organisations. And prior to that, there was an individual sandwich parking review, which was undertaken by external consultants as well. So so the council's not actually doing very well. We've got a lot of reports, but as Councillor Breen has said, we haven't done much with our reports. We just seem to be filing them. So I'd like to go forward and propose that the recommendations for the HIP priorities and the Sandwich Town Council actions are taken forward.
Second.
Thank you very much. All those in favour, please show. That's everybody. Thank you. That is passed. Thank you very much. And penultimately, scheduled meetings for 25-26, including annual town meeting. Town clerk has shared the proposed scheduled meetings for 25-26, including the annual town meeting, and this is attachment 16. A decision is required. I would like to propose that we accept the town clerk's schedule for the forthcoming year. Councillor Pennington seconding that. All those in favour of the schedule, please show. Okay, and that is carried. Finally, date and time of the next full council meeting is the 24th of March at 7 PM. Thank you very much, councillors.